How y'all doing, Hawks fans? Welcome back to Hawks Digest. Hawks fan, Hawks twin, we back at it again. And in this video, I'm breaking down it's some confusing things going on with the lottery picks and with the draft picks surrounding the Atlanta Hawks. And I wanted to dive into it and also give my quick thoughts about what I thought about the Houston Rockets versus the Atlanta Hawks. Before I get into it, you already know. Thank you to everyone who is making Atlanta Hawks Digest one of their first listens when they need that Atlanta Hawks content. And if you're not quite a part of the Hawks Digest, the subscribe button is right there. Go ahead and hit it. Make sure you hit the like button as well to help us get out there in the algorithm. And we appreciate everyone who is a part of the Hawks Digest. Now, guys, let me get into some things that are just a little bit confusing. Now, we are expecting, the NBA draft. We do have some picks coming up, but there's some technicalities to them. Now, how did we even get this far? Come on, Hawks fans. You remember DeJounte Murray. Back when we traded for DeJounte Murray, we sent unprotected first round picks of 2025 and 2027, and also a 2026 pick swap to the San Antonio Spurs. Now, those Spurs fans, they're rooting for the Hawks to fail so they can get a better draft pick. But Hawks fans, you already know we're doing the best that we possibly can to make sure that those are high and later draft picks for the San Antonio Spurs in 2025. Now, the picks that I want to get to in particular evolve around the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, Walter J. Pollard also made a video about this before. Make sure you guys check that out as well. But we're getting close down to the end of the season, and I wanted to circle back, swing the block, and just give you guys the update of what's going on now. Now, of course, how did we get the Kings pick? Back in the summer of 2022, the Hawks shipped out Kevin Huerter. Remember Kayvon? Yes, shipped him to Sacramento and got a future first round pick. Now, unfortunately for us, the pick did not convey, and because it was top 14 protected last season. This season, it is possibly looking a little bit better the way things are shaping up for our Atlanta Hawks. Now, it's a top 12 protected, and I know I even had to read it a few times and just make sure that my mind was really just wrapping my head around everything that could possibly go on. So let's get into it. In a scenario to where the Kings finish no less than 10th in the West, that means they're in the Western Conference play-in, and also if they lose in the Western Conference play-in, then they would enter the 2025 NBA lottery with either the 13th or 14th best chances. Okay, now at this point, if again, if they're finishing that low, the Atlanta Hawks fans would have to worry about the Kings, so possibly being the 13th or 14th, and they would have to hope that they don't have that same magic that the Atlanta Hawks had when we end up jumping up to the first overall pick, and of course we took Zaccharie Risacher. Now, if the Kings finish the 13th worst, they have a 4.8% chance to jump into the top four and keeping their pick. If they finish 14th, they have a 2.4% chance of jumping up into the top four. For our Atlanta Hawks, our percentage is if they have that 13th position, it's a 95% chance that the Hawks can get the pick. If it's them finishing at the 14th position, it is a 97% chance that the Hawks can get the pick. So just in case I lost anybody, if the Kings can make it out of the play-in tournament, the Hawks will get the pick. If the Kings don't make it out the play-in, the Hawks essentially will have to hope that the draft lottery doesn't have the Kings leapfrog everybody into the top four to where they end up keeping the pick. So it is a lot going on right there. But as of March 25th, the Kings sit in the ninth position in the West. The Phoenix Suns are right there on their heels, but the 11th place Dallas Mavericks, I don't think that they're going to be able to conjure up some kind of energy toward the end of the season to possibly leapfrog these Kings. So what we're rooting for, Hawks fans, is for those Kings to really stay in the top 10 area so it can possibly have better chances for that pick to convey for our Atlanta Hawks, because we need draft picks. We need to possibly shore up that front court and possibly go other places. It just all depends on where the Hawks want to go. Now, as for that Lakers pick, of course, that right there went absolutely the opposite way. I would say the absolute opposite way. Now, it's the Lakers' unprotected first round pick. And now, of course, it came from the DeJounte Murray Dyson Daniels deal, essentially. Now, we were hoping that the Lakers would collapse. Unfortunately, they have not been collapsing at all. The Lakers, I see them being a top 6 seed in the West. I do not see them entering the play-in or getting any worse. Essentially, honestly, that pick from the Lakers is going to be a high pick. The good thing is it's a good draft where it's going to be a lot of talent coming out of it, and you still may be able to get a decent pick, even if it is closer to the 20s. Regardless, that right there is going to be your pick. You're just hoping somewhere that maybe the Lakers can continue to falter toward the end of the season and maybe drop down a little lower so that pick can come a little higher. But essentially, I think that these guys are going to make the playoffs. I did not see them taking on this rush of wins that they were doing, and that was before they traded for Luka, because they were actually starting to try to win some more games before they did that. Then they went and traded for Luka, so the pick may end up in the 20s on that one for the Lakers guys. But we're rooting for the Kings that pick can finally convey for us, so we can have somewhere in the 15ish, 14ish, maybe even 13ish range of the Kings pick. Excuse me, of the Kings pick. And of course, like I said again, the Lakers pick may end up in the 20s. Hope I didn't lose too many of you guys. Again, it is a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts there. But yes, we're hoping that the Kings stay in the 10th overall position, and we're hoping that the Lakers lose as many games as they possibly can, but they still are probably going to make the playoffs. Now, guys, I have to segue and talk about this game last night. I don't have a lot of thoughts about it. I just want to kind of just dive into like the main parts. All right. First half, absolutely dismal. I did not like the fact that Zaccharie Risacher started out the game. He was giving you buckets, giving you points. He only played 6 minutes in the first quarter, and he was 4 of 5 with 8 points, and then he sits down. I did not like that. One thing about me, guys, I love, certain players more than others, yes. But at the end of the day, one thing that I am just bottom line about is keeping the hot hand alive. Whomever has the hot hand. I don't care if Dominic Barlow is out there giving people buckets and end up with 30 points in the first quarter. He's not sitting down unless he tells me, Coach, I need a rest. So it's just, for me, I don't like going away from the hot hand. And again, second quarter, I didn't like the fact that Zaccharie Risacher did not play really many minutes, and you pretty much played Georges Niang almost the entire quarter. Zaccharie, he only got close to 2 minutes in the second quarter when Georges Niang got nearly 9 minutes. Then of course we were down big at the halftime. Third quarter was kind of like more so the Hawks were getting back in business, but ultimately, you look at it, the Hawks in the first half, it hurt them. They could not shoot. They could not shoot the ball. That 3-point percentage was terrible. 21% at halftime, 5 of 23. You're not beating anybody like that, At the end of the game, though, I believe that it actually kind of like evened out a little bit more. It was a little bit more even keel, and you could say that the Hawks really was able to come back in that second half. And honestly, I feel like we more so, I don't want to say dominated, but we had Houston on their heels. It got all the way down to the point to where it was 14 seconds left, and the Hawks were down by 3. And honestly, if Fred VanVleet didn't make the 3-pointer in the fourth quarter, um, hey man, we don't know where we may end up with. And honestly, I hate that play too because Steven Adams was able to find him, um, open three, and the rest was history about that. Another thing I did not like in this game though, Houston got all those free throws. They had like 29 free throws, and the Hawks were not getting any love when it comes to, well, not as much love as these Rockets were getting. The Hawks probably had half of what the Rockets were probably getting in total and free throws. So the officiating was a little iffy. Also, the biggest thing, and this is just a wide open thing, Onyeka Okongwu was your only line of defense versus these Houston Rockets. They went big to big with Shingon and Steven Adams, and the Hawks could not do a lot with that. That is the reason why you didn't see Mo G, because Mo G, as even though he has the height, he's still a little light in the behind. And against somebody like Steven Adams, who's strong as heck, you seen in Yeka, he was fighting for his life against Steven Adams. And then he had to fight against Shingon too, but still ends up with 15 points. I mean, excuse me, 15 rebounds. Like, come on now. Like, I don't know what else you want from Onyeka, because Onyeka did the best that he possibly can, and he still ended up with 14 points as well. Yet another double double for Onyeka. So fourth quarter, I go back to the same thing I started off with, guys. Staying with the hot hand. I love to stay with the hot hand, and I just feel like in the fourth quarter, when our guys like and Terrence Mann and Risacher and Double O. In the fourth quarter, man, these guys were playing for you. In the fourth quarter, Terrence Mann and Zaccharie Risacher scored over double-digit points. And you had 8 from Dyson. I know that Trae Young is our head of the snake, our floor general, our leader. But I just would have rather to stay with the hot hand and see if they could have regained the lead, captured the lead, because they was right there on their heels. And then we see, so maybe in the last closing seconds, because Trae is clutch points, free throws, 3 points made. So I would have loved to see him maybe in that regard, and maybe just not so soon. I just want to stay with the hot hand because these guys went on a 17-2 run at one point in time and really just cut down that lead. I feel like you got to reward the guys that got you into this situation by keeping them in, unless they're coming at you and saying, hey, coach, I need a breather. If you come to me and say, coach, I need a breather while you on the heater, yes, I'm going to pull you. But I just don't think that those guys should have been pulled out unless for that exact reason right there. Outside of that, I'm just saying, even with all those things that went wrong for the Atlanta Hawks, the Hawks only lost this game by 7, and the Hawks almost tied this game, sending it to overtime. The Hawks almost had enough energy to overtake these Houston Rockets, even though it was a bad defensive night from Georges Niang. Even though it was a terrible, awful night of defense from Ice Trae Young. What his name is, Jalen. He took advantage of it. Okay, he made Trae Young look like he was a cone out there. Jalen Green did, but I mean, he's gonna do that with a lot of good defenders. Not saying I'm trying to defend Trae's defense, but Jalen is gonna do that against great defenders too, because he scored against Dyson Daniels, who is definitely the best defender on the Atlanta Hawks, bar none. So, with that being said, give Trae, I guess, just a tad bit grace, but honestly, that we can't have that. We got to have at least a better defensive effort. Trae is not going to get any taller, any bigger, anything like that. But hey, man, just give just a little bit more effort. Or how about this? When the rotations had changed and when they couldn't lock in on Trae, the game changed. And again, that's going back to having that hot hand. But guys, I don't want to, hunker down on this loss right here. A lot of people didn't have us winning this game at all. I felt confident coming into the game because I knew that we was on a 3-game win streak and we was kind of having things come about. This game more so is about not getting down by 20 plus points, so you have to fight so hard to come back. This game is also about, since staying with the hot hand. This game is also about being able to knock down shots, because we did get our opportunities and we weren't able to knock them down. Ultimately, I'm encouraged because the Hawks should have gotten blown out in this game and we only lost by 7, even with everything going wrong for us. So if anything, Houston should probably look at this and probably be having more of the downside look than we should. No moral victories, but at the end of the day, this is the result from playing against a team who is a top 2 seed right now. I think the Atlanta Hawks, held their own. We was to run it back with a few different, twinks and tweaks. I feel like, it'll be a better game and maybe we come out on top. But it's no time to be down about this game at all, guys. We got to move forward, okay? We have one more game versus these Miami Heat, and we need to win it. We need to win it to go ahead and just cast them out of our minds when it comes to this play-in. We also need to win it because so we can turn right back around and not worry about this game. Ball it up, throw it in the trash. It's over. The Rockets are done. Only one way we'll see them again now, and that's if we play in the NBA Finals. Let's move forward, guys. We have this Miami Heat team who are coming off of a win off Jimmy Butler night or him returning or something mess like that. I can care less. At the end of the day, it's all about our ATL Hawks. We have 10 games left. Let's finish this season strong. Let's finish this play-in tournament. Let's see where we are at the end of the day, guys. Let's just see where we are. And until next time, guys, peace and blessings to you all, and to you all, I will holler.